sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry for being mean.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
What's going on over here?
Those people are apologizing to Wish about 100 times for being too harsh on it last year.
Huh. Well, what do you know? I knew many of those wish rants would age like milk and cause a monkey's paw.
What do you mean?
Let's see. We're stuck with a bunch of Disney sequels because everybody must have loved them more than trying out some of the new stuff we had years prior. There's a bunch of live-action remakes coming out next year, and DreamWorks wants to play with that too. And the company took a huge risk on moving the Moana TV series into a full-length movie sequel to make up for what was lost. Which, by the way, is still doing so well, remaining fresh, and I still consider it a decent film, and I don't regret seeing it. By the way, are you okay sharing the throne with Moana?
Oh yeah, we're good.
So how did this all happen? What broke the trend?
I don't know, some Sky Studio made a fairy tale movie that got a lower score than what the Big Tomato gave to Wish.
Really? Now that I definitely want to see.
The score or the movie?
Yes.
Here.
Whoa. Chee-hoo. This is one of those anime films that I really had zero hopes about the minute I saw it reach the surface. The reason my doubt is that this was made by the new animation studio on the block, Skydance Animation, the same company that made their first ever movie, Luck. I did not enjoy it. I mean, it's not one of the worst anime films I've seen. I will admit the animation does look good, and this could have been a greatly told story about the importance of luck, but the world building behind this concept was cluttered and uninteresting, the characters were forgettable, and I did not learn anything about why good and bad luck are supposed to be equally important. The worst thing about the Luck movie is that it doesn't have its own identity. It rather wants to copy elements from a Pixar movie instead of finding its own voice. The true culprit behind this particular train wreck is one man, and his name is John Lasseter. Yes, I already know about the dispute behind this guy and some of the, not right things he did off camera. As you can tell, John really wants to rebuild his own personal empire, but nowadays, he's not as influential as he used to be. Now don't get me wrong, I still love all the Pixar movies from the past, like Toy Story. Separate the art from the artist, but I want to give a lot more credit to the people who also worked on them, whether it be long-term writers like Andrew Stanton, Pete Docter, and more, famous actors like Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, Annie Potts, Don Rickles, etc., or any of the animators that worked at Pixar throughout the years. That's when I learned that Pixar was never built by one man. It was created by a group of talented, passionate, and caring animators, performers, and other crewmates. In fact, Pixar is still doing good without him, such as Up director Pete Docter being the new CCO, 3 of their streaming movies were Oscar nominated, with Soul being the winner in 2020, Elemental became a sleeper hit as an original movie, and Inside Out 2 is currently the highest grossing anime film of all time, surpassing the Lion King remake. Skydance Animation, on the other hand, doesn't have a suitable working environment, and their second movie is not doing so hot. It went through a bunch of changes and kept switching distributors such as Paramount and Apple until Netflix decided to release Spellbound on November 22nd, 2024. It was so desperate for attention, they tried to go on an ego trip by reminding you that you know who is involved with it, and a small mention from Vicky Jensen. But regardless on how you feel about this movie, there is clearly no Pixar, DreamWorks, or any magic in this. Welcome to another episode of The Wonder Reviews. It's time to find out why this is a definite curse and a blessing. This is Spellbound. It's about a princess named Elian, played by Rachel Zegler, who has to run the kingdom of Lumbria all by herself because her parents have been cursed and turned into monsters. After some annoying hijinks, the Oracle explained that in order to change them back, they had to find the light that they lost a long time ago. So Elian and her parents have to go to the Lake of Light before the kingdom apprehends them and sends Elian's parents somewhere far away. Ever since the trailers were released, people have been making comparisons to 2 recognizable anime films, Pixar's Brave and Studio Ghibli's Spirited Away. This statement is actually very true. It's the same old fantasy story where the girl has to figure out a way to lift a creature curse off her parents. But there's one major difference between this and the 2 movies I mentioned. It's so boring! There's no sense of wonder or whimsy even with some of the magical stuff that happens here. It follows a repetitive pattern where they had to go to a magic location, there's a bunch of arguing here and there, the dark curse tries to consume Elian, they learn the value of teamwork, and the monsters unlock a piece of their humanity and they go to the next destination. rinse and repeat. The problem with the script is that there's no sense of world building about the Kingdom of Lumbria or anything beyond it. It also suffered the same problem why nobody remembers Luck. It doesn't have an identity. Where Luck tries and fails to copy Pixar, now Spellbound wants to rip off Disney, including having a princess as the protagonist, an animal sidekick as her partner, turning the film into a full musical, and throwing magic into the mix. It checkmarks every stereotypical cliche you can think of, and you can predict how this will end and fix everything in just the first 5 minutes. The movie tried to give a moral about dealing with parents divorcing, which I can see where they're going with this, but the pacing and execution is a total mess, and it doesn't build out how or why Alien's parents would like to go their separate ways. If you want a good example, watch Infinity Train. In that show, there were clues why Tulip's parents got divorced, why they were unable to work things out, and what does Tulip need to do to get her exit. Here, they barely focus on that possibility. It just rushes through the part where the parents turn into monsters, only mentioning the best memories from Alien and spelling out a whole bunch of expeditions. And all that happened in 1 whole year! I'm not even kidding! She somehow kept her monster parents a secret from the kingdom in 365 days. It doesn't help either that nobody is funny in this movie. It's full of juvenile humor, modern references, and some really disgusting toilet and mouth humor. Here's something you need to know. The original script was going to be about the kingdom being split into 2, and Alien had to figure out a way to unite them. It's not much, but the reason why I brought it up is because it's not even hiding that there was some executive meddling when making this film. There was little to no creative freedom for the rest of the crew to do whatever they want with this film, which makes it hard to define the heart of the film or even connect to any of the characters in the movie. With a script hopelessly written as this, what makes you think I would be interested on what's going to happen to these characters? Each of them are just a one-dimensional trope that only serves one role with no personality whatsoever. While the acting's okay based on the material they were given, there is nothing interesting or relatable about the characters they're playing. Ellie is the protagonist that is trying so hard to change her parents back to normal while keeping them a secret or running the kingdom independently. Unfortunately, she's just the bland princess that doesn't offer anything memorable about her. She's just mostly stressed when taking care of Lumbria or fixing her parents for 1 whole year. It just doesn't work based on the timeline. Alongside her is her animal sidekick, Fling, a purple furry thing that likes to put things in his mouth. That's his character throughout the whole movie. Oh, but there's something. They decided to pull a Freaky Friday on him with this guy named Bolinair. And guess what? This isn't any better. He's always pessimistic over Alien breaking the spell and constantly trying to contact the kingdom to retrieve them despite her objections. Yet she still wants him to tag along anyway, and he still wants to tattletale on her. Just leave him or something. He obviously doesn't want to help you. As for the rest, Nazra Prone is the other minister that supervised Alien and her monster parents. Colin is the head of the guards who only serves as an obstacle for the heroes. And Sunny and Luno are the oracles of the sun and the moon, where one is positive and optimistic and the other is serious and doubtful. The only characters that are kinda likable in this movie are, surprisingly, Alien's parents, Queen Elsmere and King Solon. At first, they're just the generic wild animals that constantly fight each other, and Alien has to train them to look after them. But as the movie progresses, they regain parts of their memories such as talking, their sense of humanity, and love for Alien, showing that no matter how many times they disagree with each other, they both care about their daughter dearly. Okay, so the story and characters are both not doing so well to make things interesting. What about the animation? Is it still gorgeous to look at? Well, I don't know how they did it, but even the visuals are generic as everything else in this movie. The fantasy realm just looks boring and doesn't give us anything special about it. Lumbria itself is just a plain white kingdom surrounded by regular trees, and everything else beyond it is just been there, done that. We've seen the castle, we've seen the dark forest, we've seen the magical creatures like griffins and stuff. I can literally go to a fancy travel agency to take me somewhere more magical than this. Well, the character animation is good and does have that cinematic quality, but the designs are pretty dull and basic because it tries so desperately hard to look like a Disney movie. The only exception are the monster designs on the King and Queen for having different textures or features that are uniquely different from each other. The visual effects are also pretty mixed. Sometimes there's a cool moment with the echo sound effects, the lake of light, and the fog's magical moments with the carpet carriage and the waterfall exit, but then you have the curse behind the monster transformation. Look at it! That is the most unthreatening curse I ever seen in an anime film. It's just a bunch of Twizzlers you can eat or cut through. Oh hey look! Since the film lacks any sort of identity and wants to emulate the Disney formula, they actually put in musical numbers. But here's something shocking about the songs. They were composed by the legendary songwriter Alan Menken. Yep, the man heavily known for making the best songs from the Disney Renaissance. However, this is not the first time he ever made some non-Disney anime songs. Before it, there was the Great Beyond song from Sausage Party. Technically, you can also count Wonderful Ways to Say No from Cartoon All-Stars, since there are some non-Disney characters singing in this. But with these Spellbound songs, man, talk about apples and oranges, none of these sound like they have Alan's name on it. I'll give it that some of the performers, especially Zegler, can definitely sing, and even the music is nice to listen to. The real problem with the songs is that they are easily forgettable, and the visuals don't really help to make any of them memorable. My Parents Are Monsters is the exposition song about aliens struggling to keep her parents and the kingdom under control. Step by Step is the sorta but not really villain number where the minister wants Alien to take full control of Lumbria and remove the monster parents permanently, which is objectively a bad idea since she's still a kid and is already stressed after 1 year. Remembering is the most forgettable melody of the group about Alien trying to get her parents to remember by using the stars. I Can Get Used to This is the filler and worst song about Boliner liking fling food despite how disgusting they look. And What About Me is the dumb cliche misunderstanding about Alien being upset over her parents splitting up where it feels like they're ripping off the Frozen scene when Elsa accidentally hit Anna's heart. There are only 2 good songs in it I remember liking. There's Look for the Light that contains the only best visual effects from the movie, and Way It Was Before is about Alien wanting to go back to the good old days and we see good memories of her and her parents. Think about why other non-Disney films became so revolutionary, because many of them were inspired by Disney. But they still wanted to show that they have their own voice. They never plotted to copy them or slap at them saying, "Hey, we can do better than you, hey!" Companies like Universal, Disney, Sony, and more don't actually fight against each other. They just shake hands with each other like good sports, no matter who wins or loses. Spellbound is basically plagiarizing from Disney, and it still doesn't understand why Disney is not only one of the biggest animation studios, but an inspiration to many. All this movie did is convince people to watch Disney's own animation movies instead of Skydance's. Spellbound is one of the most blandest fantasy movies I've seen all year. It has no identity to separate itself from other anime movies, causing it to have a lame story, generic animation, bad jokes, forgettable songs, and some flat characters. This is an anime film I would not recommend to anyone. There are plenty of fantasy films you should watch instead, like Studio Ghibli movies, The Neverending Story, Princess Bride, The Wizard of Oz, and every Disney fantasy film that ever came out. And yes, that includes Wish. It's very likely that nobody's going to remember a thing about this like Skydance's last movie, only the bad decisions and meddling when making this. Even if they do plan to bring in some big-time directors or celebrities for their future movies, Skydance Animation won't be able to make any good movies if they keep ripping off Disney or other studios. I can't say it's the worst anime film I've seen this year. I mean, it's not worse than the Saint Chiefs movie or Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate, but man, what a lame imagination. I give this movie a D+, and the only way to break its own curse is by going to the flames of failure. I'm Mad Hatter Patrick. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to put Star back on the tree again. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this, check out these other videos, or feel free to like, comment, and subscribe for more upcoming reviews and other projects. I'll see you soon.